In 2005, Phil Askey of DP Review was handed this $5,000 Nikon D2x. He immediately put out a 29-page review, which the link is below, and gave it a highly recommended score. Let's check it out. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Carmine from New York. I've been a photographer here in Manhattan since 1973. This is photo class number 439. I need you to do something right now before we both forget. Comment below if you have ever used the Nikon D2x or if you plan on getting one. Comment below if you've ever even used a Nikon camera and which one is your favorite. Hit the subscribe button and give me a thumbs up. Let's jump into this review of the 2005 Nikon D2x. All metal. It's made of magnesium. This whole body is made of magnesium. And it's a crop sensor camera. Yes, it's a 12.4 megapixel DX format, which just means it's a crop sensor. It's a CMOS sensor. Now, crop sensor is very important to know about this camera because when I did wildlife photography for a living, submitting these mounted photographs for sale in galleries right here in Manhattan on consignment, they made a lot of money because when you add a lens such as this Nikon 300 millimeter prime, right? This is the Nikon F4 ED autofocus prime lens. When you add this to the D2x with a crop factor of 1.5, you multiply 300 by 1.5, and you get a 450 millimeter lens equivalent to take beautiful wildlife photographs. Or sports, action, okay? Anything where you would turn your prime or zoom autofocus lenses or manual lenses by 1.5 times magnification. All right, now a few things that a lot of people don't know about the D2x from Nikon is that you can use older autofocus lenses that do not have a built-in motor like this lens because the camera itself has a built-in autofocus motor with this pin. I'll show you a close-up photo now. The way it works is that that pin goes into the screw mechanism on the lens right here. I'll show you a close-up photo now. So as you autofocus, the pin or screwdriver motor in the Nikon body turns the focusing mechanism in the lens, focuses the lens. Now, let's keep going on that thought. You can use newer AFS lenses like this DX, very inexpensive Nikon AFS 18 to 55, 3.5 to 5.6 G2 lens with vibration reduction. Vibration reduction will work on this camera. It was very advanced for 2005. The way it works is this lens, the AFS lenses, have a silent wave motor. It doesn't use this pin. It has its own motor, but it gets its electricity from the contacts here and the contacts on your lens. So you can use older screw drive lenses, AFS lenses, right? Now here is one of my absolute favorite professional lenses. This is the 85mm Nikon D lens. It's a 1.4, okay? This does not have a built-in motor. It uses the autofocus pin in the Nikon D2x. So you can use D lenses. You can use AFS. You can use autofocus. You can use G lenses. And of course, the older manual lenses, okay, you can use them too. This is such an incredible camera. Now, remember I talked about $5,000? Well, that was when it was new in 2005. Today, I checked eBay. Now, they have, quote, minty models for sale. They have about 20,000 clicks, and they're selling for $300 from Japan. Okay, so they're still around. Now, why do I say Japan? First of all, these were made in Japan. Second of all, if you buy a used camera from Japan, believe me, I've purchased dozens of used cameras from Japan directly. Number one, they are so well taken care of. They're taken care of like children. They care for them. They're so proud of their camera equipment. So the Nikon D2x has 3 screens, okay? It has a top screen, has a rear screen, of course, for your menu and viewing of your photographs, but it also has a 3rd screen right here on the bottom. I'll show you a close-up of both of these. I don't mind that it weighs 1,252 grams plus the weight of the lens. It's well worth it. Now, speaking of that, we have to talk about 2 more things. The battery. This camera uses the ENEL4 lithium battery. Look at the size of this battery. It's tremendous, but it will last you all day. I always carry a spare, and in my 20 years of using this camera, I've never had to use the spare battery in a single day of shooting. Next is, what kind of memory cards does the camera use? Well, it uses CF cards. I just happened to pick up this SanDisk card out of my box of cards. It's a 4 gig. You can get about 100 and so RAW and JPEG fine with a 4 gig card, but with the highlights of the D2X. There are rubber gaskets around every hole and opening for weather sealing. Now, that doesn't make it an underwater camera. It doesn't make it a camera you can use in the pouring rain. Nikon calls it environmental sealing, which means it's sealed against dust, humidity, extra light, fine, misty kind of rain. But remember, this opening right here is your biggest problem when it comes to environmental sealing. If you don't have a lens that has a rubber gasket, then all that environmental sealing is for nothing. You need to use an environmentally sealed lens that has a rubber gasket. Next is this grip. This grip was engineered for photographers, photojournalists who are going to be holding this camera for 12 hours in a row. It is perfect. The rubber is still, this is a 2005 camera. The rubber grip around this side is perfect. Now, I got this camera so long that it actually wore off the rubber on the CF card door. But if you can see, I had to replace it. It took me about 30 seconds with a piece of Velcro right here, peel and stick, put it right there, and it's wonderful. Now remember, Velcro has two sides. It has the nice soft felt side, and it has the hard plastic side with the hooks. Just use the nice soft velvety side. So remember, comment below. It's very important. If you've ever used the D2X, comment below if you've ever used any kind of Nikon camera. Now let's watch all of the photographs I took with this camera out in the wild.